we're good. Yeah. We're live at 5, Mountain Time at 5. Hello, everyone. It's Kevin. And thank you all very much for joining us for another call. We have wonderful crowds. Marianne, thanks for always being here and putting out the advice as you do to get us started. And also Cindy Ray, so thrilled to hear your voice. I'm told you were improvising with the crowd yesterday, and one of my favorite Iowans. So thank you for being with us, and thanks you all. Want to make sure everybody knows registration for National Convention is open. It's free, and you have to be registered for the virtual National Convention 14th through the 19th to take advantage of all the perks. There will be perks, there will be door prizes, there will be all kinds of ways that divisions and groups can participate in the convention virtually. Go to nfb.org. You guys know the website. There's also a COVID-19 page. It has all kinds of information for SSI, SSDI, financial information that folks need to know. There's material about NFB Newsline and some of the things that are going to help people as we guide each other and help each other and support each other through this COVID-19 madness from the perspective of the National Federation of the Blind. I'm going to turn this over to Jessica here shortly. I would say to you that if you have articles for the Blind Coloradan, since I have your attention for a second, we're going to do some issues on education soon. So if you have announcements, particularly as they relate to COVID-19, please send it to us. Best email to get us for all the stuff we do is assistance@nfbco.org. If you know someone in trouble, someone needs an ear, someone needs a ride to a grocery store, assistance@nfbco.org. We'll try, and we can't always meet every need. You can also call the hotline, 303-778-1130. No, yes, that's right. Extension 219.
Yep.
Extension 219. Let's see. I'm excited about all the sessions coming up this week. I'm particularly excited about Thursday. I know that David is going to share some tips and tricks about how we can keep our travel skills alive and well, and particularly if we've got students that are working, let's say from home, the moms and dads and teachers want to put the blind kiddos in touch with our Mountain Time at 5 Zoom sessions. Thursday night would be a great one because he's a great travel instructor. He's done some audio traffic stuff that I think people will really enjoy. Okay, that's all from me today. Here's Jessica.
Hello, everybody. So we've been doing these meetings now. This is week number 6. It's hard to believe that we're already in our week number 6. And so when we're thinking about content, we're not really quite sure how much longer this thing is going to go on. And so we're thinking about things that are a little bit more sustainable. And so we thought, why don't we have a My Blindness Monday where we meet a blind person and we get to know them and we get to hear their story. And so I am really excited about this. We have every year our state convention in Colorado, a panel called My Blindness Myself, where we have blind people who tell their stories, and it's one of the more popular sessions at convention. And so I think that this is going to be a real treat as we continue this on our Mondays. But today I'm excited to introduce our first speaker, who is going to be Maureen Nietfeld. And Maureen, for anybody who hasn't heard, has a truly tremendous story. And I'm not going to tell it from her, but I will just say that, we're all lucky to be hearing from such a talented, compassionate, full of life and energy and perseverance member of the National Federation of the Blind. And so I am very excited to introduce Maureen, but I think first we have Scott with his hand up.
I don't think I put my hand up.
He didn't have his hand up. He was whispering to me while I was trying to talk.
Well, I'm just going to welcome everybody and say that I, too, am extremely excited about this topic this evening. Maureen has a tremendous story, and she has become a substantial, important leader in the National Federation of the Blind. And without further ado, I think we should kick it over to Maureen.
Okay.
Hey, Maureen.
Hey!
Listen to that crowd, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey!
it is very different talking on Zoom like this. But okay, so thank you all for getting on tonight and taking the time to listen to my story. So I was actually born in Philadelphia. I am not a native to Colorado. I was born in Philadelphia, and my mom thought I was just a healthy baby girl. I was sighted, and for the first 4 years of my life, there didn't seem to be any problems. When I was about 4 years old, my mom thought that I had a lazy eye and thought that she would just go ahead and take me to the eye doctor and that I probably needed a pair of glasses. So she took me to the eye doctor, and the doctor told my mom that I had cancer in my eyes and to take me immediately to Will's Eye, a really world-renowned hospital in Philadelphia. And so she took me there, and I went in for emergency surgery. And it turned out that I actually did not have cancer in my eyes at all. I had hemangioblastomas, which is a benign tumor. My eye was full of these tumors. I was totally blind in the right eye. They think that I was probably born with the tumors in my eye. And after 3 surgeries to try to save the eye, they did have to remove my right eye. So I had these benign tumors, and it just so happened that the surgeons that I had, Carol and Jerry Shields, were researching a rare disease called von Hippel-Lindau syndrome. And there was no way to test for it yet, but this disease caused these types of benign tumors in all the organs of the body. And so they told my mom to go ahead and start getting regular testing to get me MRIs every 6 months. And so the tumors did pop up in my left eye, and I had a laser surgery, and I returned back to 20/20 vision. So I didn't get any special like VI services or anything like that. I just had 20/20 sight in one eye, and that was fine. I continued to get MRIs, and when I was 10 years old, I started having some nausea, and I was actually throwing up every day. My mom took me to the doctor, and they said, well, she probably is anxious and doesn't like school, was their answer. And my mom was like, no, she likes school. She's a social kid. Like, I had no problems. I would literally just wake up in the morning, get sick, and then go about my day. So then, after a few times to take me back to the doctor said, well, she's about due for, an MRI of her brain. So, we'll just check and see if anything else is going on. And it turned out that I had a brain tumor in my medulla, which is right above the brain stem there, right above your spinal cord. And this is a really, critical area of the brain. All areas are critical, but I remember being little and the doctor saying, if you think about the brain and you think about how important Manhattan is, that's like the medulla. It's a very, very important center point in your brain. And so I went ahead and had my first brain surgery when I was 10 years old. I was then officially diagnosed with von Hippel-Lindau syndrome, because at this point they just diagnosed the disease based on what characteristics you got of the disease. I woke up from that surgery and I was actually unable to walk. So it affected the nerves down in my legs, and I was in the hospital for a few weeks, and then I was moved to a rehabilitation center, and I eventually was able to walk again. I was about a month in that hospital. Through this, I did continue to get tumors in my left eye, and every time I would get a tumor, they would laser it, and my vision would return back to 20/20. So they sent out a vision teacher once a year just to see. They would take me out of class and see how I was reading, and I had 20/20 sight in one eye, so I read just fine, and saw how I walked around, and it was kind of amazing. But most people who just have vision in one eye don't have depth perception, and I did. They weren't sure. They thought maybe that was because I was born with just vision in one eye. They think it was because I was always blind in the one eye. But I mean, I played softball, field hockey, I caught fly balls and everything. I didn't have any issues with depth perception, so they didn't give me any additional braille or travel or anything like that. So when I was 16 years old in a routine scan, they eventually found that I had cancer, And part of von Hippel-Lindau syndrome is that you can get what's called renal cell carcinoma, and that is cancer in your kidneys. And so I went and had my first kidney surgeries, and they removed, a bunch of tumors out of my one kidney. And then they, decided that they would just do that, no other treatments, just, surgically treat the cancer. I didn't have to go on to any chemotherapy or anything like that. And they would just continue watching. Right around the same time, I was a junior in high school, and I was sitting in the front row in class, and it literally happened so fast. I was writing on my paper. I looked up at the board. I could see on the board, continued to write notes, looked back down, looked back up, and couldn't see the board. It was blurry. And I asked to be excused from class, and I walked to a payphone, and I called my mom, and I said, I can't see the board, and I'm in the first row. So she came and picked me up from school. We went down to Wells Eye Hospital. It turned out I had a tumor that was hemorrhaging. They did some laser surgery, went home, went back. My eye was filling up with blood a few days later, and I had was going to be my third retinal detachment. So I went in for surgery to reattach my retina on my 16th birthday, and that surgery I came out legally blind. So they were able to reattach my retina, but I wasn't going to gain any more sight back. I had 2,200 in one eye. So this was, pretty difficult. Obviously, I was a blind person at that point, but I obviously didn't think I was a blind person because I still could see. I was dealing with other things too that just a 16-year-old deals with. My parents, right at that time, were getting divorced. My dad decided that he wasn't going to talk to us anymore, and so he cut off all ties with us. He actually even kicked me off of the health insurance, which I look back now, being a parent, I just find that completely unfathomable that a parent would even do something like that. But, so I was dealing with the things that a 16-year-old have to go through normally and unnormally, all these health things, parents getting divorced. Now I'm blind. So I could see okay during the day, but I could not see at night at all. I totally was night blind, and I didn't even tell anybody that I was night blind because I thought that if I did, that my mom wouldn't let me out of the house at night. So I remember crossing, busy streets just using headlights. If I didn't see any headlights, I would run across the street. I would, meet my friends, and usually it was at the 7-Eleven or the bowling alley, and it was bright there, so I could see. I would struggle at night so much to keep up with my friends and to do the normal things that teenagers do because I didn't want anybody to know that I couldn't see. During this time, they were homeschooling me because I couldn't use large print. I couldn't even really see large print. My vision was really, really strange. So they started homeschooling me. They kept me back in school an extra year because they wanted to provide me with some extra VI skills. And over the year from 16 to 17, my vision just slowly decreased over that year. And by the age of 17, I was completely blind. So they started teaching me Braille, and they started teaching me travel. And I was so resistant to any type of training. I mean, they would put a Braille book in front of me, and I would just cry and cry and cry. And they would, the travel teacher would come over to the house, and I would refuse to do any cane travel in my hometown where I was. I would make them take me to a separate town where I wasn't going to run into anybody because I was completely just so ashamed of being blind. I agreed that I would do indoor travel lessons in the mall, but it had to be in the morning when, just like years ago, I don't even know if they still do this, they would open up the mall in the morning for like the senior citizens to do mall walking. And so I thought, well, that's safe. I won't run into anybody there. And I'm in there, learning how to use a cane. And what do I run into is a friend, a parent of one of my friends. And they didn't know I was blind, and then I refused to do that. I just did not want anybody to see me using a cane or reading Braille. And so I literally would pretend to be sighted. A couple of my really close friends, I would just walk, walk with them. And, it was, I mean, obviously other people had to know that I couldn't see, but in my own mind, I thought that I was just fooling everybody and that, nobody could really know. So, when I was 18, I graduated high school, and I thought to myself, I'll just go ahead and go get a guide dog, because at least I'll look better if I use a dog. And I went and got my guide dog, and I didn't follow any of the directions. I remember dog day, I got Laverne, which I couldn't believe that my dog's name was Laverne, but that was okay. I got my dog. I went back to the room, and they said, make sure you leave your dog on leash. And of course I took the leash off. I'm like, that's ridiculous. I've had dogs my whole life. And she just starts going crazy in the room. She's digging through the trash. She's jumping on the bed. She's running in the bathroom, and I'm chasing her, trying to get her, because I hear the trainers walking down the hallway, because they're knocking on everybody's door to, to meet everybody and take everybody out. And I thought to myself, oh my God, I just got here and they're going to take this dog away from me. And I just got the dog, but then I was able to wrestle her and get her leash back on. And, we went about our business. And she did provide me with a lot of comfort, and I had her until she passed away at 15 years old, but I did not use her effectively as a guide dog at all. And that's a big regret that I have, because I know how much time and effort and money and training goes into a guide dog, but I couldn't travel independently because I was too afraid to travel independently. I didn't have good cane skills. I was ashamed. I was scared. I just I was going to try out college, and I did really well. I kept a 3.9 grade point average. I was able to complete all my work, but I was so embarrassed. I was ashamed every time I was on the classroom. I never wanted to talk out loud. I never wanted to ask a question. And for those of you who know me now, I never stop talking, and I always have questions, but I wasn't myself because I lived in shame, and I was always worried that people were going to be staring at me and that I was going to mess up and do something stupid. And so I stopped going to school after a year, and I decided I would go to massage therapy school. I really had an interest in nutrition and physical fitness, and I liked wellness, and so I thought this would be a good fit. And I really did enjoy it. I worked for different chiropractors doing corrective muscle therapy for about 5 or 6 years. And then I was having more trouble with the cancer in my kidneys, and it came back, and I was having to have some pretty major surgery. And I actually went to the National Institutes of Health for this. And I had two experimental surgeries, actually, where they did these 12-hour surgeries. One was 12 hours, one was 13 hours, and they actually let my kidneys bleed to try to remove all of the cancer, because there was so much cancer in my kidney, and they wouldn't be able to operate and get it all out successfully. Typically, the way they do the surgery is they just take out your organ, and they have about 2 hours to work on it, and it wasn't going to be enough time. So I had actually the most blood transfusions the NIH had ever done at that time. I had about 54 blood transfusions during one surgery and about 50 during the other surgery, hundreds of tumors removed, very long recovery. I was on a ventilator for a long time, and chest tubes. And I was about 24 at this time. I was actually married. I had married my high school sweetheart. After I thought maybe, I would want to have a child and have a family. And after I had all these surgeries, and at this time, it was about the 6th time I had kidney surgery. 6 months later, all of my cancer was back. The tumors were just growing like crazy. And I was at a pretty high risk then at that point for it spreading. I had just, pieces of each kidney. And so they told me that the best action that I could take at that point was to go ahead and have my kidneys removed and to go onto dialysis and to wait for a kidney transplant. And at 26 years old, hearing that, it was pretty devastating. I already felt like I knew that I wasn't living the life that I wanted to live. I still didn't use a cane. I still, really didn't even use my dog at this point at all. I just had her as a pet. I always went sighted guide with people. I stopped reading, I learned Braille and then I stopped using it. I couldn't use a computer. I mean, I did work, like I said, as a massage therapist, but I mean, that's it. I didn't really do anything independently other than that. And so of course, took what I, did what I needed to do. And I had both of my kidneys removed and I went on to dialysis, and I went into a special program at the National Institutes of Health that was going to provide me with a kidney transplant. Because typically when you have cancer, you need to wait 2 years on dialysis in order to be transplanted, because they're monitoring you for metastatic disease or the spreading of the cancer. And so they said they wouldn't make me wait for the 2 years. My brother was a match, so that was really exciting. And literally about 2 weeks before we were going to go into surgery for me to get my transplant, the program lost its funding. The NIH is funded by the government, and this program was government funded. It lost all of its funding, and I was told that they could not transplant me, and I had to go somewhere else to find a hospital that would. And that was a daunting task, because hospitals told me no, because I had cancer. Finally, University of Jefferson in Philadelphia agreed to transplant me, and my brother gave me his kidney, and now I am almost 13 years with a successful kidney. And what a blessing that my brother was able to provide that to me. I think about it every single day, that what a gift I was given. And it was really when I received this transplant that I thought to myself, my God, my brother risked his life to save my life, literally. He had children and was married, and still thought, I want to do this for my sister. And I thought, what a waste, At this point, I was actually divorced from my high school sweetheart. He had a severe drug and alcohol problem, ended up addicted actually to heroin, and was an alcoholic. And I could not stay in that situation anymore. That's a whole other path down my life that was horribly challenging while I was dealing with all of this, cancer and on dialysis, dealing with that as well. But I did leave that situation. I got my kidney transplant, and I thought, God, I really need to do something. And so I called VR, and I thought, well, I can just learn how to use the computer. If I could learn how to use the computer, that would be really great. It would open up some more doors for me. Maybe I could, start my own business with massage therapy, and be able to keep my books and all that stuff. And so I called, I set an appointment. Giovanna Ultravillo from Philadelphia came out to see me, and she said, my God, you have so much potential. You don't use a cane, and you don't read Braille, and you really need to go to a training center. And I thought, well, I don't really have anything else going on, so sign me up for a training center. And so she told me to call the different training centers, and I talked to Julie Deedon, and I decided on Colorado, mostly because I wanted to rock climb, and I wanted to white water raft, and I wanted to canoe. And like I said, I'd always been really interested in like physical fitness and wellness, and that just seemed like a cool thing to get to do. And so literally 2 weeks later, I was out in Colorado training at the Colorado Center for the Blind. By this time, I had roughly probably 31 surgeries. 14 of them were eye surgeries. I'd had multiple brain surgeries at this point, all this surgeries on my kidneys. But I was really probably the healthiest I ever was, because I had my kidney transplant. I felt really, really good. I'd recovered long enough from that, and I had all my energy back. And I was just so excited to go out to Colorado. And when I got there, I cried every single day for 2 straight weeks, because I was lost in the building every day. I was homesick. People were getting put on drops, and a drop is when you just get dropped off somewhere and they're telling you need to get back with one question. And I was like, that's complete insanity. I am not going to do that. And I remember calling my mom and saying, I'm ready to come home. I'm going to throw in the towel. This just isn't for me. And she's like, just give it one more week, just give it another week. And so I gave it another week. And I came out March 18th, 2009. And so it was about 2 weeks later, and we went to the day at the Capitol. And so, every year the different affiliates go to their day at the Capitol, and they go and talk about the different issues that are pertaining to them. And so I went. I was, 2 weeks as a student, And they said to, get dressed up, and we were going to go, meet senators and representatives. I'm like, oh, this is cool. So I'm all dressed up, and it's a blizzard because of course it's Colorado, and we get crazy weather all times of the year. And we go to the day at the Capitol in a blizzard. And we get there. I wasn't happy. I wasn't happy already taking the bus. I wasn't happy that it was snowing, but we get there and we're sitting in the galley, and Brent Bertrand told us all to put our canes up and to rest them on our shoulders and to be proud of who we are. And I literally had this moment where I literally did feel proud of myself. It was the first time since I had been blind that I felt proud of myself as a blind person, that I wasn't embarrassed to have a cane, and I wasn't embarrassed that I was blind. And it was such a powerful moment for me in my life. And then, we went about our business at the Capitol, and we walked out of the building, and I fell down the entire flight of steps out front of the Capitol in the snow, and I was soaking wet, and I was back to being angry again. But I got on the bus, and we found our way back to the apartment. And I really felt changed from that point. I decided that I was going to stay in the program, that I was going to accomplish it, and that, I would take one day at a time, but that I definitely was not going to go home. And then, going to national convention was another really big turning point for me. At that national convention, I saw successful blind people that, were lawyers and psychiatrists and professionals, and had all different careers, and they were just normal people. They just went about their lives, and they did all the things that they love to do. And it really was inspiring to me. And I thought, this is something that I want to be a part of. And I joined my chapter. I started, making breakfast at our chapter meetings every week, and, just staying involved and really helping out new students as they came into the center. And then I was about to graduate, and I was offered a job to do residential. So to be the residential manager at the Colorado Center for the Blind. And I thought, yeah, I definitely want to do this. This would be, fantastic. I love to cook. I love to work with people. I had really mastered a lot of blindness skills. And so that's what I did. I ended up meeting David Nietfeld there, who taught cane travel, and we started dating. We ended up getting married in 2011. And I was doing really, really, really well with my health. And then in 2013, we found a spinal cord tumor. And so I was actually experiencing some kind of weird pain in my right arm. I had started running with Jessica and Achilles, and every time that I would run, I would get a pain in my right arm. And I'm like, how is that? Like, how do you get a pain in your arm from running? And I remember specifically one time, me and Jessica and another friend of ours, we were running on treadmills in the gym. And I asked them, like, when you guys run, do you get pain in your arms? And they're like, no. And I'm like, okay. So this pain started getting worse. And I actually started getting pain all through my back. And I started not being able to sleep. And I was about a week where I couldn't sleep, and my pain was so excruciating. And I really wasn't telling anybody how excruciating it was. And then one day at work at the center, I was actually changing a trash bag, and just bending over, I fell to my knees because the pain shot through my whole body. And I thought, well, I better go to the emergency room. Something's not right. And so, of course, me being me, I waited till the next day to go to the emergency room just to see, well, maybe it'll get better in the night. And then I went in for an MRI, and they found 2 large tumors at C4 and C6 in my spine. And I went in for spinal cord surgery. About a week later, they scheduled it. And during that surgery, I had my neck broken at C4, 5, 6, and 7. I had it rebuilt with titanium. And it was a very, very long recovery, a lot of pain. They said I probably, most likely would stay on pain medicine for the rest of my life. And that didn't seem right to me. I felt like there could be another way. And so that's when I really discovered a new love for yoga and wellness, and really worked hard to regain my fitness back and use that to mitigate a lot of pain. And that worked really, really well for me. And I continued that, and I had a really great recovery. And in 2017, I had always wanted to finish my degree that I had not finished, because I always really did love academics. And what kept me from getting my degree was my embarrassment, my shame. And I thought, here I am at the center pushing people every single day to do the things that they want to do. I should practice what I preach. So I decided I was going to go back to school for nutrition. And so I started back to school, and I went in for another MRI of my brain. I was having some kind of weird symptoms, some shortness of breath. Didn't think at all that it would be related to my brain. There was no more space in the brainstem for the tumors to grow. And so they told me that I was definitely going to need to have surgery, because if they grew anymore, I could risk a brain bleed, and that would probably cause me to slip into a coma or die. And so I went in 2017 for this brainstem surgery, and woke up and had what is called a flail arm. And so my right arm had no control in it. And I mean, it's kind of a funny story, but actually what happened was I was in the ICU and I felt something hit my face. And, I was a little out of it from the pain medicine and the anesthesia. And I yelled at the nurse. I said, "I can't believe you just punched me in the face." And he's like, "You just punched yourself in the face." And I'm like, why would I punch myself in the face? And here it was, I literally did punch myself in the face because I had no control of my arm. And they put my arm, I had to keep it in a sling because I had no control of it. They kept saying, "Oh, it's going to get better. It's going to get better." And I will say that it is a lot better, but it is unusable. So I can't use my right hand at all. I have my whole right arm and my hand through the right side of my chest and even into my face. It kind of feels like when you wrap a tourniquet around your arm, or you like sit on it for a long time and it's asleep. That's how my whole arm feels. I really can't like hold things in my right hand. I can't, type. So I couldn't use a computer anymore. I was already typing with just my right hand because I had a stroke during another brain surgery that left my left hand a little limited. And so, here I was just starting school. I was actually a national scholarship winner that year, and I actually was the top winner that year. And I left, that scholarship obviously feeling super high on like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm the top national scholarship winner. But then also thinking, well, how the hell am I even going to finish school? Because I don't even have working hands, I have a whole new disability now. But, the NFB believed in me. And so I had to believe in myself, right? Like I knew that. And I started utilizing readers and scribes. I do use my iPhone for a ton of stuff. I mean, I do almost all of my work with dictation. And then, I have to use a reader for some things, use a scribe for some certain things. But I was able to, keep going to school. I actually am graduating with my Bachelor's of Science August 1st, just in a few months. And school has been really successful. I have a 3.9 GPA, and I did change my major. I will be graduating with a bachelor's in lifestyle medicine with an emphasis on wellness and a minor in pre-healthcare. Through this past 3 years, I actually had a baby as well. In 2018, we were very surprised to find out that I was pregnant. I'd always been told that I should not have a child because of the stress that it would have on my body. It could cause my kidney to fail, a number of things. And so when we found this out, of course, the doctors were, was this planned? No, it wasn't planned. Do you want to have this baby? And absolutely 100%. I mean, we felt like we were gifted with this amazing miracle, and I was 100% gonna have this baby, and we did. The pregnancy itself wasn't so bad. It was just at the end. He was 6 weeks early and was a very rough go there at the end. My kidney did start to fail. I became preeclamptic. My brain swelled. I had, when you have VHL and you have existing tumors, the hormone influx can cause your tumors to grow. And so because of the pregnancy and the delivery of Logan, I did have a brain tumor that grew really quickly, and got pretty big. And so just this past December, I had another brain surgery to remove that tumor as well. And so during this time, since 2017, I also had some brain radiation, because I do have several brain tumors. I still have eight actually in my head currently. And so we will look at doing some more radiation after my brain fully heals from this past surgery in December. So all while getting my degree, I had, 2 brain surgeries, a baby, radiation. And every time I felt like, oh my gosh, I don't think that I can finish. I don't think I can do this. I really did. I really thought about that. I had to believe in myself as much as the NFB believes in me. They gave me that big scholarship because they thought that I could do it. And so I have to do it. And I am going to do it. I'm just a couple months away. But I have to say that, through everything that I have been with, having the philosophy of the NFB has really, really helped me with being resilient and being strong, and just applying the philosophy to all aspects of my life so that I can keep moving forward and I can keep reaching my dreams. And, I do have to relearn how to do things, and but all of us have challenges, and all of us have ups and downs. And I just have to, keep remembering that I have so many things that I am blessed with. I have the most wonderful husband, the most wonderful baby. I do have another guide dog that I do use the right way now, because I can't use a cane in my right hand anymore. And it was really hard for me to travel with a cane in my left hand. And Riley has been a really great addition to our family. And for me, he also works to help with my stability, since I do have some balance issues since the last 2 brain surgeries. But that is really my story. So I'd be happy to answer any questions.
If you have any questions, you can hit *9 to raise your hand, or under the More section in the bottom right of the app, or Alt-Y on the computer.
While we're waiting for questions, we put in the chat a link. Breaking Blind is Maureen's YouTube channel. We're amazed at how many people over the years, recent years, Maureen had a regular YouTube channel called Breaking Blind, and thousands of people found out about the National Federation of the Blind and our Colorado Center for the Blind because of her YouTube channel. And if you've not looked at any of her little 3, 4, 5 minute videos, everything from teaching you how to make something to all kinds of athletic activities, rock climbing, and all kinds of things. And they're wonderful little vignettes to share. I don't know how many, dozens and dozens. We also put a link to her brother's YouTube channel. She didn't know we were going to do this. Her brother's an amazing comedian, crazy guy, almost a candid camera guy. So you guys are looking at some of his. He's got 1 less kidney now, but he's still funny as heck. And so we put those in the chat for y'all.
Thanks.
Nancy.
Hi, Maureen. This is Nancy Urquia. I don't have any questions, but I just want to say that your story is amazing. Thank you for sharing with us, and that it was an honor being your student. And I'm so happy that we were able to meet.
Thank you, Nancy.
Phone number ending in 3906.
Yes. This is Dana Art from Boise, Idaho. And first I want to say, Maureen, that I remember when you were the scholarship winner in 2017. I was at the convention. I am the state president for the Idaho affiliate. My question, which may not seem like really important, but I'm curious for my own self. what school is your guide dog from? I happen to have some cerebral palsy, which affects my balance, and as I get older, it is more impactful, and so I just was curious.
Yeah, he is from Guide Dog Foundation, and so they really did a really fantastic job there, really making sure to get me a dog that was going to be patient, and really knew that he, was kind of working double duty, helping with me with stability, and that because I have limited hand function, sometimes, it takes me longer to, clip his leash or, and longer to put his harness on. And he is just the most patient boy. So they're a really great school. Really worked with what I needed.
Well, I appreciate that because it's one of the schools that I've considered if I need to get a successor dog because of my, as I get older, my balance issues are more, evident and problematic. And so I'm glad to know this. Thank you so much.
Sure.
Rashika.
Okay, hi Maureen. First I just want to say thank you so much for sharing your story. It was probably the most inspiring thing that I've heard all of quarantine, and I think that the way that you give hope to people is just so inspiring, and I see that when I interact with you at the center as well. So thank you for bringing me just like so much joy in general. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
I actually just had a quick question for you and for all the blind people here in general. For you though, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Rashika Kartik. I'm a sophomore in high school, and I'm the president of the Tactile Art Club at Colorado Center for the Blind. And I remember when I came here, the stories and the things that people told me really like changed my perspective as a sighted person. And I think that more people in the sighted community should hear some of these amazing stories. So I've been working on a project for the last year as an artist myself, as creating a graphic novel detailing stories of blind individuals that have inspired me. And so, Maureen, if you're interested in that, I would love to work with you and just like follow up and have you as a feature. And for anyone else as well, I can put my email in the chat, and then I would love to just hear from all of you for that.
Yeah, I would love to do that. Thank you.
Yay, that would be great. Okay, so if you wouldn't mind just like giving me your phone number or your email, that would be wonderful.
Yeah,
Just put it in the
absolutely.
chat and I'll send it out.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you, Kevin.
No problem.
And are you going to make it a graphic novel? I mean, a tactile graphic novel?
Yes, so that's the plan.
Cool.
This is for my like studio art class. So I'm planning on doing it in 2 phases. The first in which I hope to get all of the like graphics done, and then I'm working with Anne Cunningham and Build a Better Book to make like the best tactile version of it possible. So that will be like a lengthy process, but I'm hoping to get it done over the next year.
Wonderful.
That's really cool.
That's awesome. Thank you for all your support. And so yeah, if anyone else is interested in being featured or like sharing their story or even just like chatting, I would love to hear things. So yeah.
All right.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Mr. Labar.
Yeah, thank you. Hey, Maureen, we as blind people are always told how amazing we are for doing the simplest thing, but you really are amazing. And I guess I know that if I had as many of these curveballs thrown at me as you have, I'd just go into a corner somewhere and kind of curl up and like get a bottle of bourbon and just, I don't know. So I guess my question is this. What strategies do you use to take on some of this? Because at times it must seem overwhelming and huge. And how do you deal with it in a practical way? How do you keep moving on, and not only moving on, but keep succeeding and exceeding your goals?
It does feel overwhelming for sure at times. And I think something that I do work, I asked for help, and that may seem like such a simple answer, but it's actually something that I really had to learn how to do and to be okay with, to ask those around me, if there's something that I'm struggling with, you know, that I ask for help and that I use alternative techniques, not, you know, like a reader and a scribe, because I really struggled with, I felt like I got my independence as a blind person, and then I felt like so much of that, you had to ask this question, right? You know, I'm going to get emotional, was taken from me again. And that was really, 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 really hard. But, you know, I'm so blessed that I have made such powerful relationships in the National Federation of the Blind. And two of the, you know, my biggest supporters, Jessica and Kevin, are on this call. And I couldn't do any of this without David and Jessica and Kevin and Aaron and my friends that have really lifted me up and said, you know, we're not going to let you give up. And then too, I do, you know, physical fitness, you know, making sure to exercise and making sure to eat right. I meditate daily. I use, you know, lots of stress relieving techniques. I really practice self-care because I get frustrated, you know, and I have to remove myself and use those strategies daily.
So I've heard her story a few times, and Kevin Kovacs and I were just saying, you know, every time we hear it, it's amazing. And we hear new stuff and we draw new strength and energy from it. And I said to Jessica about halfway through, I said, good Lord, how is she still here? It's just something. Oh my goodness. What else?
That's everybody.
I think we've got, is that everyone?
Mm-hmm. Any more questions, you can raise your hand.
And now that we've made her all emotional.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Who can make her cry more?
Yay!
Yeah. Actually did pretty good this time.
Yeah, right.
I only
Well,
just started to get a little
Your
emotional.
story is always so amazing and so powerful to hear, and I think it really helps a lot of us, you know, put our little tiny things that we have to deal with into perspective for sure.
Oh, you know, absolutely. I mean, I whine if I, you know, have to do the dishes.
Here's
You know,
Marianne.
I can't deal with this. So it's amazing.
Marianne.
Oh, Marianne, cool. Marianne.
How many, at this point, how many surgeries has it actually been?
35.
But who's
God
got-
almighty.
Yeah.
Well, maybe this is a question. Maybe this is just something we need to put out there. I know I and probably at least 50 other people that I know of would want to be there or in some way celebrate when you graduate. So please do figure it out or help us to help you figure it out, because just an incredibly life well lived. I don't even, I'm like, my math is going, I don't even know how old she is, but 35 surgeries, good God. That we do need to find a good way to celebrate when you graduate for so very, very, very many reasons.
Thank you. Yeah, that would be really fun. My brother always tells me that I'm going to live to 99, that I'll probably have 99 surgeries, but I'm going to live to 99.
Some 99 surgeries. We'll come up with a song.
Somebody named
God,
I would just say to folks, you know, when she answered, be willing to ask for help. I just think that's such a huge answer. In fact, there was a book up maybe 7 or 8 months ago. I'll try to find the name, on Bard. And it's basically a short 3 or 4 hour tutorial about how to ask for help, the importance of asking for help, and some strategies for people of pride to ask for help. So I would encourage, I read it and immediately started asking people for help, didn't I, Marianne? So I encourage folks to read it. Who's next?
Somebody named iPhone.
iPhone, Mr. iPhone, Mrs. iPhone.
Hi, my name is Pam.
Hi.
Hello.
Oh, hi, Pam.
Hi. Well, I am losing my eyesight rather quickly. I'm 67 years old, and I started out with retinal tears in 2014. I'm an RN and quickly had to not be an RN and work because I can't see clearly enough to do the computer work. So that was kind of a jolt. And over this last winter, my vision continues to decline. And I am with the visually impaired person group here in Eau Claire, and Renee, who runs it, is I don't know, my guardian angel. Maybe she gave me this information. But what I wanted to say to Maureen is, as hard as it is for me to lose my eyesight, and I realize how good I have it. And I believe that every day. I thank God for my blessings every day. But I have my health and a wonderful husband. But listening to your story has helped me to be able to reach out and ask people to help me, and for me to realize how lucky I really am. Thank you so much for sharing your story.
You're very welcome. Yeah, gratitude is a huge thing that I also try to cultivate every single day, and just think of everything that I am fortunate to have and all the little things, because no matter what we go through, we have so many things to be grateful for every single day. And that's what I choose to focus on.
Pam, please be in touch with, if you're not in touch with National Federation of the Blind in Wisconsin there, if you be in touch with Maureen. You'll not find, as you probably tell, a wonderful, wonderful person to be in, because we are a family in the National Federation of the Blind, and we want to, we have seniors groups, and we have technology, and we have these calls, and we have a national convention coming up. So, you know, come home to the NFB. We're happy to have you.
Chelsea.
Chelsea.
Hi, Kevin. Hi, everyone. Wow, I remember running into you, I think, you know, 9 Maureen, and I knew you were cool, and now I'm just sitting here going, oh, wow. Because we, well, I'm also in Colorado, and I think you and I might be getting involved with some of the same organizations, so I would definitely like to talk to you offline. But the 2 questions I have online, they kind of go into each other. While I have not had nearly the experience in the medical team and medical field that you have, I didn't know if you had any like tips as a blind person for interacting with people who might not get it, and then also like with all of your surgeries and with all of your underlying health issues, are you any more concerned about the pandemic?
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm immune suppressed. Obviously, like I said, I have a kidney transplant, and I've been on immune suppressors, and so I've been, you know, staying quarantined, and I have a mask, and you know, take definitely a lot of precautions, and I don't plan on, you know, going out until it's safer. And so I think your question is like interacting with medical professionals, right? Then about who don't get it. Is that your question? Yeah. So, yeah, I think that just advocating for yourself and knowing that you are in control of your healthcare. And so I don't let them speak to anybody else. And, you know, I also am very knowledgeable about my disease, and I think that's very important, that we all should be knowledgeable about the things that are affecting us. And so when I am talking with a doctor, I mean, they comment all the time that like, well, you know what you're talking about, because I do. And it's important that we know what's going on with ourselves. And I think that makes a big difference in the interactions that we have with health professionals. But I also, you know, I speak up. I mean, I am in control of my healthcare 100%. And I think that, you know, just advocating for yourself and being knowledgeable where you can be goes a long way.
We've been asked to do a session, one of these Mountain Time at 5 sessions about healthcare and advocacy. And so we're thinking about putting a couple of experts together for maybe into week 6 or where are we now? Are we in week
We're
6?
in week 6 now.
Okay, week 7. who would have thought it? Week 7. And so we're going to, and Maureen probably be on that panel because we've had some requests about doing something when dealing with healthcare professionals and blindness. So we'll work on that.
Cindy.
That would be good.
So Maureen, I'm looking forward to meeting you someday. I was so impressed and inspired by you at the national convention when you received your scholarship, and I'm more impressed and admire you. And I think that we all go through things, and even though other people have been through worse things than what we have, for us it's relative. But I think that for me, you will always be a beacon. And during this time of being stuck at my house for thousands of years, I'm getting too old to be stuck at my house now. Every day I need to go somewhere. But anyway, I admire you, and I do often think of you after your story I heard of it at the convention, and I did watch some of your videos, and I thought they were really pretty fun. And I just want you to know that I appreciate what you are doing, what you've done, and your ability to own your shame about blindness. And because I think all this stuff has made you probably for the most part as comfortable in your own skin as anybody could ever be. And all of the things that you do are things that we're often told we need to do to make our health, mental and physical, better. So thank you for all that you've done and are doing. And
Thank you very
congratulations
much.
making it through this degree.
Thank you so much. And I look forward to meeting you too. Not this convention because we'll all be virtual, but next year hopefully we'll get to meet.
Cindy Ray is the best. Iowa rocks. What's next, Kev? Iowa rocks.
And that's everybody,
That's
it looks
all.
like.
All right. Well, thanks again, Maureen, and thanks everybody for being on here. And now you guys understand, Maureen has such a wonderful story, and I didn't want to steal any of it in the beginning, but she is just the very, very, very best, most wonderful person that you'll ever get to know. So we were lucky to have her on here today. And thanks for joining us.
Mountain Time
Thank
at
you.
5
Bye,
all for the rest of
everyone.
the week. And also want check all kinds of other NFB Zoom sessions from affiliates all over the country. Thank you, Maureen. We love you.
And
Thank you. Love you guys.
We've started putting it on YouTube, and we'll put the links out once there's more than a video up. But I'll send everybody links to the YouTube channel and everything that has these recordings on.
Right.
Cool.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Hi, everyone.
Bye, thank you.